welcome to the Helix webinar series. Today's session, we're going to be focusing on a workshop. So this is for Service Collaborator, and it's one of our many workshops that we're running over the next coming months. And it's going to be guided learning experiences with GPT. So this is a hands-on agent workshop. Today, joining me as a presenter is Eric Efflinger. He will do his formal introduction shortly, and he will be running this session today. Just a quick reminder that we do have the Q&A section of Zoom. So if you do have any questions due to being muted until towards the end, please put your questions in the Q&A. We have also shared in the chat function a configuration guide, a document for you to download. If you aren't able to get this, we will be sharing it post-event, and I will be sending it out into the thank you email as well. And the other thing is we will be sharing 2 polls. I'm going to be launching the first poll very shortly, just really to get a couple of questions about where you are in your stage and your journey. And then the second one towards the end is just looking at if you're going to need any further assistance. So please take time to fill in those polls. Do ask questions, make it as interactive as possible. And then we will have roughly 15 to 20 minutes, maybe even more at the end, where we'll take some of your questions live. So without further ado, Eric, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Excellent. Thank you, Sam. And thank you for having me here again, doing webinars again. It's been a while. That's the poll. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone who has joined. Thank you so much for being here today and joining this hands-on agent workshop for BMC Helix Service Collaborator. My name is Eric, calling in from a rather cold and dark Sweden today. I'm part of the Helix Adoption Advisory team here at BMC Helix, and I will be your host for today, guiding you through the configuration of the Service Collaborator for Helix ITSM. We have a lot of things to cover today, so I'm just going to dive in and quickly review the agenda before we move on. Before I do that, I'm going to go and turn my camera off to save some bandwidth. So we will begin looking at the structure of the workshop and talk a little bit about what we can expect from today's session. Then we'll proceed with an introduction of Service Collaborator and also talk about the steps in the hands-on workshop. We will then click our way through the actual workshop, and then we'll wrap up with a short demo and a Q&A session. So why are we here today? Well, the purpose of today's session is to configure HelixGPT Service Collaborator for Helix ITSM. Now, Service Collaborator is also available for business workflows, but for today's session, we will be focusing on the use cases for ITSM. We will be doing a lot of clicking on our way through a couple of tools that you are probably already familiar with, like Innovation Studio, HelixGPT Agent Studio, mid-tier, and of course, Helix ITSM. If you want to go ahead and launch this application now, that's fine. We will be going back and forth between them, so it's my recommendation to keep them open in different tabs of your browser. Another recommendation, and this is a little depending on how you like to work, but could be good to have a notepad or something similar available. We are going to do a lot of copy and pasting. So, I mean, I prefer to keep my copy pasting in memory, but if you want to do a notepad, use that. What if you get stuck? We, of course, hope that this will not happen, but if it does, don't worry. I have a team of experts with me today managing the Q&A channel. So if you get stuck or if you have any question, let us know in the Q&A. We will respond to all your questions, maybe not in the Q&A, but we will respond either in this session or afterwards. And we are also happy to schedule one-to-one sessions if needed. So again, just to be clear, you will not be able to ask me to go back or to repeat any steps in this workshop. So please use the Q&A if you get stuck or if you need help with anything. The goals for today, well, when we are done with today's session, I hope that I can leave this session knowing that all of you are going back to your organizations with a fully functional Service Collaborator running in your ITSM. If not, second best is that you leave this workshop today with all the knowledge you need to configure this on your own. And if you need help, again, please reach out. We're happy to join you for a one-to-one session to get you started. Your success is important to us, so please take this opportunity and use us if needed. There's some prereqs to acknowledge, and these prereqs was also sent in the invite for this session. But to cover them quickly, the minimum version requirement for Service Collaborator is 23.3. I will be using Helix environment on version 25.3. So if you want to follow along, I would recommend that if if it's possible, also use 25.3. That will give you the best experience. You also need to have the PWA app enabled in your environment. You will need to have admin permissions for both Innovation Studio and HelixGPT. You will need to use your own LLM, your own large language model. Any one of the different providers on the list here. I will be using Azure OpenAI GPT 4.1. If you want to use Google or Meta, that's fine too. But it's crucial that you have the API endpoint URL and the API key for the large language model of your choice. And with this, we should be ready to go. So to quickly introduce Service Collaborator. Service Collaborator is a HelixGPT-driven agent within BMC Helix that's transforming how service teams work together and resolve issues faster. Instead of scrolling through endless lists of tickets and incidents, we can just simply ask a question and the Service Collaborator will present the right answers instantly. For service desk agents working on solving incidents, it's almost like having a trusted advisor at your side. It suggests responses, offers resolution steps, and even drafts solutions based on similar past cases. This means less time searching, less guesswork, and more confidence in every reply. And when it comes to resolving incident, the system doesn't just assist us, it can actually do the work for us by generating complete resolution notes, helping support teams to close tickets faster and with better accuracy. In short, Service Collaborator helps teams work smarter, respond quicker, and deliver better service, all while reducing manual effort and improving consistency. This is not just another tool. This is a game changer for support teams. And if you are a service desk agent, this is going to be your new best friend in ITSM. So before we move on to the hands-on configuration, I want to highlight a couple of things that will come across during the setup and some things that we should be aware of. The configuration of Service Collaborator that we will do today will be done in 3 steps. Step 1, we will start looking at our models, data sources, and data ingestion. This is where we will configure our large language model, prepare our data sources, and ingest data into HelixGPT. This data will then be leveraged by the large language model to provide us with answer. This is a very important step. AI is not just that helpful if we don't have any data, so this is a must-do. We are going to use the out-of-the-box data sources in this session today, more specifically, the data sources for Helix ITSM Knowledge Management, more commonly known as RKM, Remedy Knowledge Management. So this is our knowledge articles. And we will also use data from Helix ITSM. And this is to provide HelixGPT with necessary contextual incident history. When we are done with this step, we will have a solid foundation for HelixGPT, and it's time to start building our skills. We are going to create 4 different skills today for the purpose of running Service Collaborator in ITSM. A skill is a defined capability or task that HelixGPT can perform. Think of it as a packaged unit of logic that knows how to handle specific type of requests or workflow. Skills are typically based on specific topics or tasks, such as IT skills for IT-related queries and services. A skill can have one or many prompts. That would be a so-called prompt-based skill. A skill can also use an agent, a so-called agent-based skill. A prompt-based skill has at least one prompt with an explicit phrase or a clear instruction for how to carry out the task. For an example, how answers are returned and what sources to use to return those answers. An agent-based skill, on the other hand, does not have a prompt. It can have instruction, but it acts autonomously and use one or multiple tools to carry out certain tasks. The tools are passive. They don't make any decisions. It is the agent itself that decides what tool to use depending on the input from the user. This makes agent-based skills more structured and allows them to handle multi-turn conversations. And we will be creating both prompt and agent-based skill in this workshop. You may have noticed that HelixGPT Agent Studio already have a set of skills and agents. This is preloaded default configuration values for HelixGPT that we refer to as seeded data or seeded records. Seeded records are intended only as templates or sample data and should not be used directly in your final configuration. Instead, create copies of the seeded records and use them for your configuration. And I will show you how to do this a little bit later. So now we have our foundation with our LLM, our data is ingested, and we have our skills created and configured. We are now ready for the third and final step, which is to prepare Helix ITSM to use HelixGPT. And when we are done with this step, we will have an agent chat experience that will change the standard global search in ITSM to a chat-based search. Instead of manually searching for incidents, change requests, or information from knowledge articles, we will instead be able to use a conversational way of retrieving that information. Support agents will be able to leverage real-time conversations as assistance during incident resolution and generating resolution summaries for the incidents by using the Ask HelixGPT tab on the incident screen. We will also enable resolution generation to allow service desk agents to generate resolution notes for incident when they are resolved or closed. All right. Sounds good. With this, we are ready to dive into the hands-on workshop and start clicking our way towards the goal of having Service Collaborator configured. So let me do a quick change of my screen. Okay, configuration. So we're going to start here at the main gate, which is the Helix portal. From the portal, we will start by clicking on Innovation Suite, which is our core platform that runs all of our BMC Helix applications. It will bring us to the Innovation Studio. If you don't want to wait for 10 seconds, we can click here, speed it up a little bit. From here, we're going to go ahead and launch Agent Studio. We can do this in different ways. I like to use the application launcher here in the top right corner. So if I expand that, scroll down, I will find this option, HelixGPT Agent Studio. On the Agent Studio page, we are going to start with going into the settings. So we will click on the cogwheel, click on HelixGPT, click on Connections, and on Information Sources. The first thing we're going to do here is to ingest data. And we're going to start with this because the data ingestion job is a job that runs, and we don't want to wait for this to finish before we move on. So let's start with this to give it some more time, right? So information sources, we're going to use the out-of-the-box one as I mentioned. We're going to, more specifically, we're going to use this one, and we're going to use this one. And if you see more sources or less sources than what I do, that's fine, doesn't matter. As long as you can see these two, we're going to be good, okay? So what we need to do now is that we need to click on visible columns and check this box for IDs, because we're going to use these IDs to create our data connection job. So go ahead and copy the ID for Helix ITSM Knowledge Management Connection. Then I'm gonna get rid of this panel. Give me a second. Then we need to go back to our tab for Innovation Studio. Make sure that we are on Workspace, top here, and scroll down to find Helix GPT Agent Studio. We're gonna click that. Make sure that we are on the Records tab, and we're gonna scroll down to find the record for data connection job. This one right here. We're gonna check that box, and we're gonna click on Edit Data. In here, whatever you see in here, doesn't really matter. We're gonna click on New, and we're gonna start to add information for our new data connection job. We can start by pasting in the ID that we copied, so we're done with that. And then we're gonna create some kind of name for this. Now, I recommend anyone following along to use a prefix. I'm gonna use WS for workshop, and then I'm gonna say ITSM knowledge management. This prefix is something that I will use throughout this configuration part. It's going to make it much easier for us to find our jobs, our agents, our skills, whatever we do. So I recommend you find some suitable prefix and use that throughout this session, okay? So we have a description, we have our connection ID. We also need to add a data source. And for ITSM knowledge management, we're going to use RKM, exactly like this. RKM, capital letters, okay? And the purpose now is to run this job immediately. So find execute now and make sure that you check this option. And then we can go ahead and click save. Just for the record, I already have the jobs running. I do not want to create new jobs while I'm in this presentation. So I'm going to go ahead and click cancel. But for you guys following along, go ahead and click save, okay? When we're done with this, you should be able to see a new line here with your newly created job. Please go ahead and grab the ID for that job. We're now going to go in and we're going to check the status of this job to make sure it's running, right? So copy the ID, click close to go back to the GPT records, scroll down to find data connection job step. Check the box and click on edit data. In here, you will probably see a lot of information. To find the most recent job that we created, we can use the ID that we copied and we can paste this into search and click search. That will give us a list of the jobs running for currently for this latest entry we did. And hopefully you see you see something like this, type load, status done, right? If you start to see errors, I recommend going to visible columns and check error details to understand more about why there was an error. So if you do this at a later point in time and you start to see error, keep in mind that there's an error details here that you can see. All right, so this was the first data source. Now we're going to do exactly the same thing, almost, with the other one. So we close this. We go back to our tab for Agent Studio. We grab the ID for Helix ITSM connection. And remember, knowledge data, incident data. Okay, we're going to need both. Copy the ID. Go back to Innovation Studio. Scroll down. Find the record for data connection job. Check the box and edit data. In here, we're going to click New. I'm going to give this a name. We'll use the same prefix. Helix ITSM. Paste our ID. We need to add a data source. And for this one, we're going to use ITSM, nothing else. ITSM, exactly as I have written it, capital letters. We do want to run this job immediately, so we're going to say execute now. So here's the difference. When we import Helix ITSM data, my recommendation in this workshop now is to use modified since. Modified since lets us grab an amount of data, not all of it. And that could be a good thing. Potentially, you have a lot more data in this data source than what you have for the knowledge base one. So just click in here, go to, let's say, June 1st. Click on June 1st and OK. So it looks like this. And then you can go ahead and click Save to execute the job. Same as before, I already have this job running, so I don't need to run this again with the risk of complicating this workshop. So I'm just going to go ahead and click Cancel, but you click Save. So here is my job. We're going to follow the same steps. We're going to grab the ID, copy that, can close this window, and find the record for data connection job step. Check the box, edit data, paste our ID, and do a search. Okay. You can, of course, also use filters if you want to find your items, or if you want to see the jobs running for specific sources, you can go ahead and use the filters. Same thing, right? All right, so with this, we should be done with the data sources, and we should have some data in HelixGPT. So we can go ahead and close this, and we can navigate back to HelixGPT Agent Studio. So now we're going to have a look at our large language models. Hopefully you're back on this screen. If not, go to Settings again, click on HelixGPT, Connections, and AI Service Providers. So you will probably see a list of predefined options here. We can either use this card view. I prefer to use a table view. I think it makes it a little bit easier to find things. And you need to select the one that aligns with your chosen provider and then fill out the required information. And I do believe there's some We have some help here. I think Sam will paste something into the Q&A that you may be able to use if you want to run like Azure OpenAI GPT 4.1. There's some information that you need to provide, of course. The information you typically need to include is, if I open up the one I have, is a name. And you see I'm using the same kind of prefix here. I recommend you to do the same. You need to include a version. You need to include your API endpoint URL, and you need to include your API key, right? This is the kind of information I said that Sam was going to copy into the Q&A. If you're using Azure OpenAI GPT 4.1, you can use this, okay? When we have added our information in here, the last step we need to do is to test the connection. At the bottom, there's a button to test the connection. I'm going to click that and make sure that we get this nice looking message. Connection successful. This means that our agent is working. And we can go ahead and click save. Test connection successful indicates that our LLM is working, as I said, and it also indicates that we are done with step 1. Now we have an LLM, and we also have data. And with that, we are ready to start creating some skills. At the top here, you see a couple of options, and we are going to go ahead and click on skills. Under application, we need to choose our application that we're working on. Today, we're working on ITSM, so BMC Helix ITSM Service Management is the one we need to have. Notice these skills that are grayed out. These are running on seeded data. These are the one I was mentioned before. So we're not going to use them, but we're not going to use them for implementation, but we're going to use them as templates. So if we start by selecting agent in global context, just to have a look of the information that we can find here. So for a model, we can see that it uses provider Azure OpenAI. It uses a model, GPT 4.1, and my model was named to something else, so it's not my model. We see that it has an agent. So this means that this is probably an agent-based skill. If we scroll down in the list here, we can see that it uses an agent that is called ITSM agent. So this means that we need to create a new agent that we can use, right? It also has some search settings. We can talk more about search setting later. Let's navigate to agents and start with creating our first agent. Here's a long list of agents. And again, scroll down, see if we can find this ITSM agent, select it, and let's look at the information we have. So we can see that this agent does not have a provider or a model, and that's fine. This agent inherits this information from the skill we were just looking at. So we don't need to have it here. If you click on the Tools tab, we'll see that this agent uses a couple of tools, 4 of them actually. So those tools will we also be using in our copy of this agent. We can also see that this agent has some instructions. So the first step we will take here is that we will mark everything and copy. Then we can go back up here and we can say add agent. This means that we will create a new one, okay? First thing we should do here is paste our copy to make sure that we get the instruction in here. And then we can start creating a name. First, my prefix, ITSM, agent. Agent type. This is an ITSM agent. And tools. We open the dropdown, Remember, it uses for tool, MFS tool, knowledge tool, ITSM tool, and foundation tool. So check those 4. We can scroll down to see if there's anything else we need to add. No, there's not. And with that, we can go ahead and click Save. Agent was created successfully. Perfect. Now, if we scroll down on this list, we should be able to find our newly created agent. I have mine here at the bottom, as you see. Depending on your naming convention, it may pop up elsewhere. But if you have followed my steps, you should have an agent in here somewhere. And just to quickly check, get rid of that so I can select our new agent just to make sure that we have the instruction and we have our tools. That's what we need. Okay, so we're done with our agent. We can now navigate back to skills, select our application, and start to create a skill. And we're going to start with this and connect our agent. So if we do this, this is just to make it a little bit easier. We can copy this text, and then we can click Add Skill. We're going to give it a name, preferably the same name with our prefix. It looks something like this. Type regular, provider. We're going to use our provider and our model. Mine is named WS. That's the one I will be using. User context process definition. We don't care about that. Don't need to do anything. Instruction type. Well, we have already established that this is an agent-based skill. So down here, we're going to click agent. And then we can click add. With this, you should be able to see your newly created skill here at the bottom. Please select that skill. Make sure that the information is correct. Click on agent. Scroll down. Find your newly created agent. Select it. Then we go back up and we click apply. This connects the skill with the agent. And the last thing we need to do is just check the search setting to make sure that we have also this one selected. And then we click apply again. Okay? If you have more search providers here, as I do, doesn't really matter. We're only going to use those 2 either way. So that's our first skill, an agent-based skill. Now we're going to move on and we'll look at some prompt-based skills. If we select this first one, just to have a look, and start from the beginning here, we can see that it has a model, provider, model, good. And then it has prompts. And this particular skill actually has 4 prompts. And we're going to need to create all of them. Please notice that the first one also has a starter prompt. Now, this is important to remember. We always need to have one prompt that is a starter prompt. So if we, as an example, if we look at this skill, only has one prompt, needs to be a starter prompt, right? If you have more, one of them needs to be a starter prompt. Let's start with this one. If we expand this, we can also click on View, just to see that the information in this prompt is not something that we can change or modify in any way. And this is, as I mentioned, this is the seeded record. So close this. We're going to grab the name, though. It's going to need that. Copy. and we click Add Skill. We name it to our prefix and the name that we just borrowed, Incident Agent Assist Conversation. Type can be regular, provider, it's going to be our provider, and our model. We don't do anything with user context process definition, but instruction type needs to be set to prompt. And then we can say add. We should be able to see our newly created skill here at the bottom. We select it, we'll see no prompts. We do have our provider and we do have the model. And we do have some search settings, right? Now we're going to copy the prompt from this skill to the newly one that we created. So if we navigate, if we select Incident Agent Assist Conversation skill, the seeded record, we go to prompts, we expand the first prompt, and we'll see that we have an option here that says copy. Click that, change the prompt name, use the prefix again. In the list here, we scroll down to find our newly created skill. This is the copy to, right? And then we click copy. If we select our newly created skill, we'll see that we now have one prompt. And since we're already here, let's open up this prompt. Now it says edit, not view. Now we can change it. So let's click edit. And let's check this box for starter prompt, just so we don't forget to do that. And then we can click save. All right. Let's go back to the seeded skill, Agent Assist Conversation, and expand greetings. Click on copy. Change the name. Find our skill and click copy. We'll take the next one, ITSM Knowledge Enterprise Prompt, expand, copy, name, prefix, find the skill, select it, copy. Last one, ITSM Summarization Prompt, expand, copy, we change the name, scroll down to find our skill, select it and say copy. Let's have a look at the result. We now have 4 prompts for this skill, exactly as the one that we were using. And one of them is a starter prompt. So it looks good. Have a quick look at search settings. Just to make sure that we have Helix ITSM also checked, and click apply. All right, on to the next. Incident Agent Assist Resolution. Start to look at the prompts. Only one prompt, should be fairly easy. Grab the name. Click on Add Skill. Use the prefix, paste in the name, type regular, provider, yes please, model, that's good. User context process definition, we don't touch that. Prompts, instruction type prompts, and we click add. We can go back to the seeded record here. Find the prompt, expand it, click copy. Change the name and find our newly created skill, Agent Assist Resolution. And click copy. Okay. Last one. Sorry, I'm missing a step now. Let's select our newly created skill. Look at the prompt. We need to expand it and we go to edit and we need to say, you are a starter prompt. And then we can save. We take a quick look at search settings. Make sure that we have Helix ITSM selected and click apply. Now we can move on. The last one, incident resolution generation. Select the seeded record. Our provider, model, and a prompt. Copy the name. Click on add skill. Add the name, model, and instruction type prompt. Then we can click add. Okay. So let's go to the seeded record again for resolution generation, and we're gonna need to copy the prompt. Copy. Grab the name. We change the name and select our new resolution generation and click copy. So now if we go back and check our new skill, we need to open up the prompt, go to edit, and say, you're a starter prompt. And then we can click save. Quickly look at the search settings. Make sure that we have Helix ITSM checked. So now with this, we should have 4 skills. I'm going to ahead and change this name. Just so I get them in the right order. An agent-based skill, agent in global context. Then we have a prompt-based skill called Agent Assist Conversation. We have another prompt-based Agent Assist Resolution. And last one, Resolution Generation. If we select the first one and we stay on the search settings, we can quickly just click our way through to make sure that we have all the information. Let's do the same thing with prompts to make sure that we have the starter prompt and an agent. Looks good? All right. That wraps up step number 2, and we will now go into Helix ITSM and start to connect the dots. So the first thing we need to do is we need to enable this. So make sure that we have the buttons and stuff in ITSM. And then we're going to go in and we're going to add all the IDs from our skills into the GPT configuration for ITSM. All right. Nothing too complicated. We're going to go back to Portal, launch ITSM. We're going to go to mid-tier now. So if you have a other way to go to mid-tier, please use that. I'm typically using this way, where I click More. I scroll down to ITSM application settings mid-tier. And here we are. So we're going to start with expanding this. We're going to go to System Administration. We're going to go to System Administration Console and click on that one. We're going to expand System. We're going to expand General. And we're going to click on Centralized Configuration. In the Centralized Configuration, we're going to click the drop-down and look for ARSys Smart IT. And we're going to click on the star. Now we're going to scroll down to find an entry called Enable HelixGPT Global Chat. Start with Enable. And that value should be set to true. When we're done with that, we're going to continue to scroll down to find HelixGPT Global Search Default Mode. And this should be set to chat. So this changes the global search. So when we use the global search, the default mode will be chat. If you have added these values now, go ahead and click Apply. I already have them, so I'm going to click Close. Okay, and then we can just close mid-tier. To connect our new skills to ITSM, we first need to go back to Innovation Studio, use the application launcher to launch ITSM application. If you see this message here, don't worry, you can just ignore it. It's no problem. We're going to use the settings. We're going to expand HelixGPT configuration. We're going to expand GPT configurations. And we're going to click on GPT configurations. Right? And these are the values that we will now replace with our own values. So we have the global chat. We have the agent assist conversation. We have agent assist resolution. And we have resolution notes. So go back to Agent Studio. We already have the IDs here. Sorry. Start with global agent in global context. Grab this ID. Copy it. Go back to our ITSM configuration. Click on global chat. And copy the skill. Save. Now we're going to do the same thing with the rest of them. And you see these conversations as an example, they use the same skill, right? So for conversation and resolution, we're going to copy it twice, okay? So go back to Agent Studio. Find the newly created Agent Assist conversation. Copy it. Go back. Go to the first conversation. Save. Go to the second conversation. Save. Let's go back to Agent Studio to grab the ID for resolution. Go back to the ITSM settings. Open up the first one. Save. And the second one. Save. Lastly, we also need the resolution nodes. So go back to Agent Studio, grab the ID, copy it, go back to settings, click on resolution node, copy it, and save. All right. That was step 3. And with that, we have completed the configuration. And with this, I think it's time to take this for a test spin, right? To see how it performs and what it can do for us. So I'm going to go into a little bit of a demo here and try out a few things. So I'm going to just close everything down like this, and I'm going to go into Helix ITSM. So one thing we enabled is this, right? The agent chat. When I click that, it launches the chat alternative instead of the search. That's also something that we configured in mid-tier. And this is using the agent-based skill that we have configured. And remember, an agent-based skill has tools, so it can do more things than just ask question on a specific topic. So let's say, I say I have a VPN issue. Fairly easy, right? Returning some kind of information, and by the sources, I'm thinking that this is from a knowledge article. Remember, the agent had a tool called knowledge tool, right? So when I ask a question like this, it's gonna say, okay, for this question, I'll probably use the knowledge tool to provide the answers, which is right. This is what I needed, right? Now we can of course do more things here. I can say uh, something like show me all my incidents. And it can start to list that information. Now it uses another source, right? This is not coming from the knowledge base. This is coming from the ITSM data that we have, that we ingested into HelixGPT, and it's probably using the other tool, maybe the one called ITSM. Anyway, so let's start this again. So let's say we have a situation where we're looking for some kind of incident. We know that the customer has sent us an incident, can't really find it. So this is an example where we can then use this agentic chat to get us that information. So if we say, show me all open incidents from customer name Corey Cooper. I know that Corey Cooper, that's one of our users, right? And he sent us an incident that we can't find. It's also about VPN, by the way. So it's something is up with our VPN solution. So this will present me with a list, and at the top there is something about VPN, right? So I can say, okay, help me to summarize incident 314. Let's see if this works. 314, you see the number? Let's try that. You see, even though I spelled wrong, shows me some information. So, okay, assign group application. Interesting. Show me the members of assigned group. Starting to list everyone in that group. That's perfect. So I want to talk to them all. And I want to know what's going on, right? So I'm going to do this. Draft an email to the team asking for status of this incident. So it's suggest an email with the information that I want to share with the team, right? And I was a bit sloppy there, so I'm going to say include incident number and URL. Makes it a little bit easier for them to have something to click on. You see, helps me do that. It's pretty good. Pretty good. So let's put this to a real test now. Let's do something a bit more advanced. I'm going to start another one. And I'm going to start by saying, please list all critical issues. Okay. List of critical issues. Well, group these issues into common themes and provide a summary of each theme. Let's do that. Looks good. All right. Okay. I want to follow up that with, for each of these themes, please provide an overview of the work that have been done so far and propose an action plan for ongoing work. Sweet. Okay. I want to use this. So I'm going to go ahead and say, uh, please provide a summary for executives of the current situation, the work done so far, and action plan for next step. Limit this to a few paragraphs. Okay, let's do that. Nice. So I think I'm trying to make a point here, right? I think this might be a common scenario, right? Think of a situation when a manager comes into service desk and say like, hey, you have a lot of critical issues open, right? You need to get a handle on them and provide me with a status update end of week. And we can probably do that without AI, right? We can probably go into the ticket console there and start to set our filters to find our tickets. And then we go into each ticket, we look at the work logs, trying to make some sense out of it, right? Start summarizing, bundle things together, think of next step, etc., right? We could probably do that. The thing is, it will probably take us, I don't know, hours, maybe even days, depending on how much information we have. And well, Service Collaborator can do this for us in a couple of minutes, right? I don't have a lot of data in this environment, yes, but uh, I've actually seen this use case run on much bigger databases. Uh, this is very handy to have. We can just grab this information, we can send it to the managers, and I mean, they will probably have it before they're back to their desks, right? All work done. It's not even lunch. So with that use case, I'm going to leave Agentic Chat and we're going to move on to look at the other functionalities we have. So let's do this. Let's go in here and find ourselves a suitable ticket. So I want to show you the agent assist, the Ask HelixGPT tab, right? I mean, from my own experience working in service desk, I think the biggest challenge is always time, right? Every second counts when we're resolving incident. And this is where Ask HelixGPT comes in and help us. You remember I called it a trusted advisor, right? Just clicking this button will bring us clear, brief to the point information, right? The most relevant information it can find from our repositories, from our enterprise data. And this particular case only uses one sources, but we also know that, I mean, we probably have more sources of information. And we plugged in two different sources into HelixGPT today. You could plug in, like, let's say you want to use your SharePoint, or you want to use your Confluence, or you want to use whatever, right? That's possible. You can have multiple sources. So when we click Ask HelixGPT, it will go out and it will grab the most relevant information wherever it can find it. So it really sort of puts all the relevant details together and present it to us, right? So we will see. We will always have the sources with us, right? We don't want this to lie or hallucinate anything for us. So we always keep the sources in the answers. This is, of course, very straightforward case, but still, we can continue to conversate with this one. We can say also include guide for setup VPN. Something simple, right? See if we have any more information it can provide us with. Obviously, it have. And you see, this information is now from two different sources, probably two different knowledge articles, but still, right? Summarize it for us in one output. And we can, of course, we can go ahead and summarize the activity logs. We can see it in this case. There's quite a few. Liam has been keeping busy. Go back. We can say, summarize those for me. I don't need to read them. Just ask HelixGPT to do it for me, right? And it summarizes in short, snappy text. I can ask it to summarize the entire incident if I want to, right? In a very readable format. If I want to go ahead and send this summary to someone, I can just click this and send this email to anyone who needs the information. Again, could be someone that goes in and asks, what's the status? What's going on? Well, I can just go in and do this, and I can send email. This is what has happened, and so forth. Super handy to have when you're working as a service desk agent. Another thing, again, going back to my own days in service desk, certainly something that we could have done a lot better is to write resolution notes. I do remember many situations where we wrote like done, talk to user, quick case, fix, whatever. Whatever we needed to just close the case and be done with it. Again, you don't have a lot of time, so you need to act too fast sometimes, right? But now we can help service desk agent with this. If we go to set this status to something else to close this call, so it's set it to resolve, right? As soon as we do, we get this, the resolution notes, and we have Ask HelixGPT. If we click that, it will present us with a resolution note summarizing the whole thing. So let's have a look. Issue was resolved by resetting the VPN client settings, clearing cache, follow update, VPN software, latest version, blah, blah, blah. The user was able to successfully connect to VPN. It's right here in the activity log. So I don't really need to read the activity logs. I can just go in and do this, and I will get a summary here for my resolution note. If I don't like this, I can click Ask HelixGPT again. And it changed it for me. Maybe add some information, format it a bit different. So we run this, that's the start. We can refine it, we can change it, or we can use it as is. The important part here is that we get help to write resolution note because these notes are important, right? They are maybe shared with customers, right? Maybe the resolution notes are used to analyze bigger things like root cause analysis, clustering, and things like that. But we also use the resolution notes in our AI. So the better resolution notes we write, the better information we give the AI, right? So that will improve. So this may seem like a small feature, but it really has huge impact, right? Not only does it reduces the repetitive work that we do, but it's also builds better data for tomorrow. Oh, a heart. How lovely. I'll take it. Great, guys. With that, I'm ready to hand over to Sam.
Do you want to go
Sam?
back to the slides? Yes, and I've just double muted. I was going to say you got a few more hearts, which will make you happy.
Yeah. I see it.
Everyone's
Thank you
sending you
so
hearts.
much. Love it.
Okay. So yeah, if you can pull back the slides, just a couple of reminders, and I'm doing this plug on every
Of course.
webinar or workshop I get the opportunity to do. I know there's quite a lot of folk on here today that are from US. We do still have the roadshow, so I'm hoping many of you will get to the roadshow next week. There is the day before, which is the user groups on the 5th, and then the main roadshow day is going to be on the 6th. Some of the team that are here today, I think Veronica and certainly Eric and a few others may be at the roadshow. So come and say hello if you're around. There'll be a customer success area, and I'm hoping a stand. There is also an advocacy stand. So if you do hover around there, it's normally in the breakout area. There'll be a few freebies. So go and speak to marketing to get some swag. So just, yeah, a reminder. And then we've also got the week after, both in 1 week, which is Madrid and Frankfurt. So again, there's some of the team that's here that will be traveling there. So Marta will be at Madrid. And I think a few colleagues will be at Frankfurt. And then finally, we finish the whole road shows in Mexico, which is on November the 25th. So hopefully, obviously, that's in person. Whilst these digital experiences are great, it's even better when you get to meet with people directly. And I know some of our customers will be featuring their stories, so you'll get a good opportunity to connect. Don't worry about taking the sign up and registration. If you're still considering it, I will share that out with you on the thank you email. Next slide, Eric. So just a reminder, and obviously I know, Eric, we've spoken and seen many of these slides before when we've worked together. So Gartner is very important for us. If you do get a chance and you're using our technology quite extensively, we would love to get your feedback. It goes directly to Gartner, and if you're lucky to get it published, they will give out multiple gift cards if you fill in different surveys, but the one that's most relevant for our workshops and GPT is the one that I've put here. Again, if you don't have a chance or you don't have your phone right now, I will be sharing that out in the thank you email as well. So Gartner's really important to us for an industry standard. And then final one, probably one of the most important for you. We've just set up recently some workshop areas on community. So most of you have probably worked with me before or come to some of my webinars. I do have a webinar series page. We've actually created one for the workshop series. So where you can see that hyperlink at the bottom, that's the upcoming calendar. So you can look at all of the other sessions coming up. When you did sign up for this one or maybe Insight Finder last week, it is actually the same link and it gives you the opportunity to click multiple different sessions. So try not to do too many, but if there are different sessions like Ask the Experts or Service Curator, Service Collaborator, each of them will be the same sessions for that given area, but there will be the opportunity then to have any further questions to use our Ask the Experts. And then the other piece is the workshop group. When I post out the Q&A post events, you can put your questions in. So if there's anything else that you want to follow up on, rather than send you to an inbox in email, we would ask you to post your questions on, and the team that you can see in panelists today, they will be there to help you, as well as Eric, certainly for Service Collaborator and then also the other workshops. So just to let you know that's available. The slides will be shared out today, the recording, and then if there's any other questions, let us know. So with that, Eric, I think the final one, which is our Q&A slide, and your team's been very busy, which is great. I always like it when we have more attendees than panelists. So they've been very, very busy in your assistance. We have two that's still open at the moment. So while I go to start
Were the
unmuting.
questions really?
Yay! Oh,
I thought this was
62.
super clear.
62. And actually, some of them were asking for the config document. So I'm hoping everyone I did mail out, if you haven't got it, don't panic. That will be sent out in the thank you email. I can see Riddy's answering one for Oscar. So I'm going to put her a little bit on the spot to speak live on. I saw, Oscar, you were asking about having Spanish sessions. I'm just about to launch the final poll in there. We're asking if you're actually interested in having other sessions. So I could probably answer that as well. But I don't know, Riddy, if you wanted to answer or say anything else, because we are going to try and do some language ones.
Yeah, I can take that one. Yeah, we are planning to do some more language specific sessions. So as soon as we get a little bit more volume of interest, we'll be scheduling those out as well. But they will be basically around the same timeline with the same format. And we are looking at starting off with Spanish and then expanding into other languages as well. So we'll definitely be sending out announcements and campaigns around those when they become available and scheduled.
Great, thank you. And actually, for the moment, certainly, Oscar, for your question, there is the opportunity for us to convert it when you go to YouTube. You can actually put the closed captions on, so at least that might be something that you can do for now. I know it's not obviously solving everything, but there is the opportunity to see it in Spanish. Yeah. Cool. Does anybody else have any other questions? I'm just going to send the other poll. I'm just sharing out the poll as well. We've got one more that's coming out to you. Bear with me. I see we've got a couple of questions actually. George put a question in, I think his email address, I think that was for the guide. Tim, you're asking about the recording. Does it ever expire? Not while it's on YouTube. It will remain in the YouTube account. So you should be able to get access to that. But if for some reason people want it as a downloadable, let me know, because I can send that as well as an MP4 if people really want that. But in general, you should be able to get it off of YouTube. Okay.
You have a question in regards that if these recordings are going to expire.
Yeah, I just answered that. Actually, Marta, I was just saying it's on YouTube, but if someone wants an MP4, because obviously I do the editing first before I put it into YouTube, I can send that to everyone if they want that as well. But YouTube should be sufficient, and I've got ones in there that's over 10 years old. So I guess the answer is no. You'll have a link that you can go and watch it whenever you want. Okay. Okay, we don't have any other questions. I guess Eric, why, and that's Eric, the presenter, Eric, not to be too confused. Is there anything else that you wanted to point out? I mean, I think it's more just for reassurance for everyone on this call, because I know there was a lot of questions in on how to set things up, configurations. Was there anything else that you wanted to share?
No, I think I want to mention again that if you want help, I mean, we're super happy to come out and do like one-to-one workshops to help you get started. Let us know. That would be great. We will be doing more of these sessions, right? I think we have next will be mid-November something. So there's more opportunities to learn Service Collaborator. I'm of course super interested to hear from the audience what they thought of the content of the workshop. You know, it's anything that we should do less of. That would be interesting to know, so we can sort of refine and improve over time.
Definitely. And there will be a survey that will come out with the thank you email anyway, but there is, from the questions, we do ask those questions to everyone as well. So just why I remember, if there are colleagues that haven't been able to get on to this session because it's the wrong time, we do have APAC, which is Wednesday, November the 12th. So that'll be run pretty early in the morning. So that's 5:30 a.m. GMT. So for you, most of you on here, you'll probably still be in bed. The next workshop is on November the 13th, which will be again at the same time. So if there's anything you felt that you really missed off or you joined late today, we don't have a limitation of what numbers and how many people can attend. So if you need to come back. And then we've also got an Ask the Expert session for Service Collaborator. So for the team that's on here right now, it'll be the same time, but it'll be November the 25th. And we're also running one for APAC and India, which will be our workshop 9. That will be also very early in the morning. So there's lots of opportunities, as Eric's pointed out, for you to come and join us, learn, ask questions. And then I would really encourage, when I send the thank you information out, to go and follow the group for the workshops and also have a look at the schedule as well. And if there's something that you feel that's missing or extra help, as we mentioned, either you can reach out directly if you've got a CSM that's already running some of these sessions, or we would ask to post your question onto the workshop page, because you never know, it might help someone else out. I think we don't have any other questions. I think we've exhausted everyone, Eric.
Yeah, the click-through. Copy.
It is. Yeah, there's we have like 10 minutes left, but I'm more than happy to give people back their time if there isn't any further questions. I'm just getting through the final few that are still here, unmuting you. So if you do have a question, either raise your hand or put it into the Q&A. And then what we will do is make sure that we formulate all these questions that we've had today, bar the ones where you've been requesting the configuration guide. I will also send that back out to people, so don't worry if you haven't received that. But I did pick everyone that was on this call today, so you should have received. Hugo and Eric, as management and organising all these workshops, as I've got the opportunity to have you both on here, is there anything else that you wanted to add to everything that's covered today?
I just want to say thank you to everyone for participating, and looking forward to any feedback that you have to offer in case there's any improvements that we can make for any future sessions. But also to say thank you to Sam for putting this together. And as Sam mentioned, there's a page with additional webinars and additional content for additional agents. So please make sure you review, and if you haven't already, please register. And we're looking forward to seeing you there.
Yeah, and I would just echo Hugo's comments well, again, and thanks everybody for your attendance and participation in this. And again, feel free to reach out if you would like that one-on-one session or like us to follow up with anything for you to help make sure you get configured. And thanks again.